What's going on, guys? This week we are back on the 6 Deuce. If you caught the last episode, you saw Dave and I fabricate and patina these inner fenders, which finished up this engine bay real sweet. We got a couple things left to do to get this LS3 and our supercharger roaring down the road, like installing our brand new 2-piece drive shaft, as well as something real fancy going into the bed of this truck. We got a bunch of work to do, so let's get to it. We got our 2-piece drive shaft back from Drive Shaft Power yesterday. This is a 2-piece, so we have a center bearing. We have to mount this to the frame, so we're gonna be making a bracket. All right, now we got our 1-inch square stock mitered. This is the 1.5 inch that we needed off the frame. So I'm gonna have this young man over here weld this together, and we'll take these angles over to the frame, lay them on the frame, lay that out on it, and then he's gonna go ahead and weld the square tubing to these, which will bolt through the frame and call it a day.
All right, so the mounting section of this is already here. So this piece is spanning the distance between the frame rail, and then I am marking out the distance for the holes here on the bearing. So then I can drill the same holes in a template pattern onto this bracket, and then we'll weld this flat plate onto the bracing right here, and then we'll bolt this bearing straight to the plate. All right, our bearing support is all finished out, mounted, ready to go.
And before we start our next project, here's a word from this week's sponsor.
All right, today's video is sponsored by Athletic Greens. If you're working hard with your hands, all day on your feet, or both, like us here at the shop, you know how important it is to take care of your body. And if you're a meat and potatoes guy like I am, you definitely need to try Athletic Greens to help fill all those nutritional gaps in your diet. Each 1-a-day serving of AG1 packs 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients. And they make it as easy as dropping just 1 scoop into an 8-ounce glass of water. Not only do I feel like I have more energy throughout the day, I also feel more alert and focused, which is a must when you're working around all these cars and power tools. The Athletic Greens blend even contains magnesium to help you with muscle soreness after a long, hard shift. And if that wasn't enough, the AG1 mix promotes better digestion and absorption to keep my gut happy when working through all those steak and potatoes I was mentioning before. So make sure you keep taking care of that body so you can keep working at full throttle. Go to athleticgreens.com/salvage to get started on your order and receive a 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 free travel packets with your first purchase. I'm gonna finish up my daily mix, and then we're gonna get back to work on the C10. All right, now that we got everything in the bed installed, operating the way it should, it's time to cover this beautiful stuff up. We have some really nice hardwood here. This is walnut. These boards are all pretty rustic, different sizes. They're not straight. So we're gonna be running all this wood through a planer and a table saw to get some nice straight pieces. I got my layout already for the back. I'm gonna be doing a 3-inch piece on both sides. That way it doesn't cover our compressors. The 3-inch piece will be fixed, and then from our box to the back where the battery is will be a hatch. This part right here will open up. We'll have some nice shocks on it, so we'll sit up at a show and kind of show off some of our detail work. So I'm gonna add 2 or 3 more pieces of angle. I got my frame all put in. It's time to start playing with some wood. I'm gonna mosey on outside where I got my temporary wood shop set up. So we are gonna be playing with Brock's wood today. Hey, Brock.
Hi.
So Brock's the owner of the truck, and he didn't trust me with this $800 worth of walnut hardwood. So this is about 60 foot, and I did the math. 13/50 a foot, a linear foot. So I don't think he trusted me.
No trust.
So we have a little rigid planer here. That's gonna be our first step. This stuff is pretty gnarly. It's kind of all over the place. It's not straight, it's not flat. So our first step was we're gonna be running it through just to get it as flat as possible. Then we're gonna use our Festool track saw. And I don't know if you guys could tell off of this, but this thing is like a banana. So we're gonna have to get some straight pieces. We went on both sides, even the underside, we went through the planer. So now it's very smooth, it's very flat. There's no gouges or divots. So I think this is where we're gonna end up stopping. So we gotta run all these through one more time, and then we're gonna move on to the next step. And now that we got all our wood planed down nice and flat, it's time to make it square. So as you see, the boards are not straight in any regards. They're very rough cut. So it kind of looks like a banana. So now our task is to basically find our lowest point, and that's gonna be our starting point. And we're gonna try to cut it as square as possible. So that way we have at least one square side, and then we'll be able to run it through the table saw and get our desired depth. All right, now that we got all our holes cut for our domino biscuits here, it's time to put these puppies in the hole with a little of this Gorilla Glue. Look at Brock's got our clamps all set up, looking nice. Once we get the dominoes put in the holes, we will glue it all together, attach them all, and then we'll squeeze these clamps down, and then also clamp them down flat to make sure it doesn't bow. Then we'll let this thing sit for a day or two, and then we'll be able to move on to the next step. All right, we got this thing wrapped up for today. It's all clamped up. It looks fabulous, Brock. Good job today, buddy.
Good, buddy.
Do I have to pay you for this?
You're a good helper.
I'm a good helper. Anyways, all right, this is gonna dry probably for a day or two. Next step is get this thing fit in the bed, and then we're gonna be doing a 2-part epoxy. So it's gonna be really shiny and durable to the South Florida weather. So while we're waiting for this wood glue to dry, we're gonna hop back into the engine bay.
All right, engine bay is coming along really good, almost finalized. We just got this intake polished up. We've got all our clamps on our hosing finalized down here with our lower radiator hose, got all our clamping going on down there. So we are about ready to start putting all our fluids in this thing and getting ready for the first fire up. I'm gonna fill our supercharger system. You could use standard coolant or distilled water. It's better to use distilled over tap water because it's less corrosive. So I don't have any distilled water, and I do have plenty of the Dexcool 50/50 coolant mix. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this, fill up our system. It's gonna be the same stuff that I'm using in the engine coolant. They are separate systems. In no way does the supercharger cooling system mate with their standard engine cooling system.
All right, Andrew just about got the engine and coolant system all filled up with fluid, and our wood glue is finally dry. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces all glued together with our domino biscuits. It's basically one sheet of wood at this point. This side's gonna get sanded down with an 80 grit. So by sanding it down with the 80 grit, the 120, the 220, the 300, 400, it will make this thing like glass. I want this thing to really, really look sharp back there. That way when that epoxy gets poured on it, it's gonna look money. So that's gonna be our center section that will have hinges in the back, and we'll be able to lift up to show off all this goodness. We do have 2 pieces of wood on both sides that will stay secured to this angle. So those are gonna get screwed through. got the driver's side piece looking real good. The bed sides are kind of wavy, so I made my board wavy as well to kind of fit the same profile. So now that this one is done, I got my overall dimension for my floor for the part that's going to open. Now I'm going to go ahead outside and rip the other border piece on the table saw, stick that in, and then we'll be able to make our little waves in it and make it fit nice. All right, now that we got both of our borders fit in there real nice, everything looks real tight, I'm gonna go ahead and cut our main piece down to fit. We're all set, we're ready to go, everything's laid out. We got our hole cut out for our latch, as well as our new gas fill point. It's ready to go, ready to lay our 2-part epoxy resin down. Whoa! That's a lot of epoxy, homie. That's so satisfying. All right, we got our first thin coat of epoxy resin laid down on all of our parts. It's set for about 5 hours. We're gonna go ahead and mix up another coat and throw it on there. All right, so all in all, our pour came out pretty good yesterday. There's no more clouding, which is great. This is our door piece, so I got this piece flipped over. I need to knock off all this drip down that came from the other side. And since this is gonna be the part you'll see when you open it, I might need this to look a little better. All right, well, that's a wrap on the custom walnut wood floor for our bed in our 62 C10. There's been a lot of changes, a lot of upgrades done. We finally got it all situated. We got our Cobra style gas fill cap installed, which is gonna work out a lot better for Brock. Now he doesn't have to take his tailgate down every time he goes to fuel up. We have our stainless steel boat latch installed, so now this thing will stay closed and not fly around when he's getting on it with that Whipple supercharger. Look at that, boy. Woo! That's even shiny underneath, man. Now he's got access to the battery, so he'll be able to jump start it if he ever has to. Plus, he's gonna keep a trickle charger in his garage, so easy access to that. God forbid he ever has any issues with his compressors or his manifold, we'll be able to work on that easily. So I think this thing turned out really sweet. I'm super stoked. This was a very expensive exotic wood from, where is it from, Kyle?
Oh, that's Belgian hard maple.
Belgian hard. I can't say that with a straight face. This is from Belgium. It's Belgian hard maple, yeah.
If you know anything about wood at all, don't go in the comments and tell me I'm wrong, because I'm right.
Yeah, I'm sure we're not right. It's probably not Belgium. I think it's Australian walnut. Anyways, man, the floor looks awesome. We got our drive shaft installed. All the fluids are in it. We were gonna get this thing running for you guys, but we're having a couple issues finding a tuner to help us out. So unfortunately, that's not gonna happen in this episode, but HP Tuners is sending us out our very own device, and now we're gonna be able to do all this stuff on our own. So we're super excited about that. But the good news is, now you guys got another 62 C10 content coming out, where we're actually gonna be able to get this thing running on the dyno and out into the street. So we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for subscribing, thanks for liking, thanks for the comments. We'll see you guys later.